What's up, guys? We are with Evan Noles, Elite Environmental Solutions. We're gonna learn everything we can learn about this man, his story, and what got him to start turf management with the best of them. Evan is one of our good customers at Everglades, and he's a young, aspiring entrepreneur in the turf management world. We're gonna have some fun today. We're gonna be going out around Wellington, Florida, where you operate out of. You say Wellington, and what other areas?
Wellington, Palm Beach Gardens, Jupiter Island, North Palm Beach.
Gotcha, and this is some amazing areas down here for turf management.
Yeah.
A lot of grass growing, and people like their grass healthy.
That's right, Wellington, it's a big one on the equestrian side. A lot of turf fields, a lot of big estates. Just, they want it, you provide it.
Yes, sir. Well, I think right now we just want to know a little bit about you, your story.
Yeah.
And I know that you said we can have some fun. We'll go out today and we'll learn about what you're doing just a little bit.
Right.
But here's some opening questions for you. So you got started, and maybe just talk a little bit about some of those early decisions you had to make when you were getting started.
You know, we were struggling with keeping contractors in to what they needed to do, keeping them in check. And you know, it led to the point where if we're gonna do it ourselves, and we're gonna do it right. So that gave us the idea of, all right, I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna get my degree in horticulture and landscape management. And I went and worked for a company, spraying for a few years, branched out, got my license, and then was able to start what I've started now. So going on 5 years.
So you were talking about when you first started, you had to go to school and you had to learn, I guess, with somebody. Right. So tell us a little bit about the school. Like, where'd you go to school? How long does that take?
So I went here locally, Palm Beach State, and it was a 2-year degree. And with that 2 years, I started working with a company to gain the experience that I needed to now move forward and get my own licensing. You know, it was a learning curve because you had to learn all your different types of bugs, different types of diseases, plants, and not only plants, but a water management. So irrigation, drainage, just starting from the ground up.
And at that time, how much did school cost? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, not crazy. You know, there really wasn't a lot of books to purchase. It's more of the experience that you're trying to gain. Being in the field, but also working in the classroom, really put things in perspective. Okay, now I can see what this is. I can see what problems we're gonna have in the near future because of this issue.
Well, what about like licensing or anything? Like, well, I know there's something you gotta do there.
So yeah, licensing is no joke. The state is on top of you the entire time. So you have to have 2 years of a college degree with a year's experience under your belt. Or you go and have 3 years experience working under someone's license to them before you can go out and take the state exam.
Okay.
Each category has its own exam. So there's a L&O, which is your lawn and ornamental. There's a GHP, which is your general household pest control. And then there's a fertilizer applicators exam as well. So you have to take all those depending on what you want to do for your work. So running the Gator 615s, I can see it can handle the payload that we need when we're running a 100-gallon spray rig out of the back of it. And as you can tell, it's ready to go into the field right now, ready to roll and make money for the day. When it comes to the Gator and the skid sprayer, being able to change on the fly, I can pull this right out, no problem. Put another piece of equipment in here, whether it's a spreader, whether it's just putting product in here to move from site to site. Everglades has been in our, I guess, cycle of life that we're dealing with in the business world for quite a while. And we have a great relationship with them. We can go in there, we can haggle back and forth, give each other a hard time. But in the end of the day, they're able to provide us with great customer service and great equipment. So those go in hand, makes leaps and bounds to make things happen for us. And honestly, you can't beat the relationship to have with them.
Evan, you the man. That was some great stuff you gave to us today. Now, I gotta ask you though, can we please go see this in action?
Yeah, let's go put it to use and see what it's all about.
You got a couple jobs for us to go to?
I got a few lined up.
Let's go.
Come on. So you have your 50-gallon drop tank and your 150-gallon drop tank.
And when you say drop tank,
so right on the other side, I can go right underneath there, open up those valves, and fill each tank from the nursery tank back here. So I can hold 600 gallons of clean water.
Okay.
Drop down into 50 gallons and spray, depending on what I'm going after. I can do an acre off 50 gallons, or I can do anything else, whether
What's the point of the drop tank? So you can do mixtures?
So I can do all my mixtures in each tank versus doing one individual tank.
Okay.
The next tank, if I need to go do, say, a fungicide application, I can fill that 150 gallons up and go spray that. I don't want to mix the two, being wide variety of warm season turf grass around here. You don't want to mismatch and have upset your spray plants with a fungicide or nutrition, or you come in here and mix it up as a herbicide and you forget, or something of that nature.
And I got two questions here. Is the cleaning process, is it as simple as just spraying it with water, or what are we doing?
So typically, fill it up, put your tank cleaner in there, run the system, let it do its thing, let it agitate all the way through, and it neutralizes all of those products that were in the tank, in the line as well. So you let that line run back into the tank so it's continuously filtered through.
What type of tank cleaner do you use?
Just a standard, standard tank cleaner.
Where do you get it from?
You can get it from any of your suppliers. You can find it online. You can find it at Tractor Supply.
Yeah.
It's standard, just says right on there, tank cleaner.
Okay.
Once we have it in there, we do have a substation that we pump into, puts all of our gray water, dirty water into there, and then that eventually, once it's full, gets pumped out and taken away.
Quick side question for anybody who's watching that operates their own home maintenance. If you have a self sprayer at home, can you use tank cleaner to clean that out? Is that a good option, or do you need?
Correct. So if you have like a backpack sprayer or a pump up sprayer, and you want to go from one transition to the next, whether it's weeds, insects, spray your plants, spray your grass, absolutely. Just break down the ratio that needs to go into whether it's a 1 gallon or a 4 gallon. I have 300 feet of hose on each one at 1/2 inch. I can pull as far as, like I said, 300 feet, do what I need to do. It typically will reach from the front side of a property all the way to the back.
Awesome, awesome. And so these are just pulling direct. Once you turn them on, you're ready to spray?
Once I engage everything, turn everything on here, I engage it at the pump behind the storage bin.
Yep.
Start pulling, start spraying.
Now, when you say 100 grand for the truck, this is like all in?
Fully equipped.
Fully equipped.
Fully equipped,
okay.
Pumps, hoses, all your attachments for your hoses, ready to go to work the same day.
Sweet, man. Well, look, I'll shut up now. Well, let's get to work. We're gonna watch Evan do a little spraying here, a little application, and then stay tuned, because we got some power hour for you, or we can maybe call it the, I don't know what you call it. But we're gonna ask him some tough questions about his business, so anybody trying to get into this business can get a firm understanding of his perspective to the answers to those questions. We want to learn about your business a little more. We learned about who you are, how you started, some of the costs to get started. We'll go a little bit more detail there, but I got some specific questions for you that I think somebody watching that wants to learn about turf management would want to answer.
Absolutely.
We're going to go in no particular order here. So first things first, what are your marketing efforts? When you started out to now, what are some of the things that you've had to do to grow your accounts and stuff like that?
Honestly, for me, it's been word of mouth. Let the product show the finished result, and that says a lot. It's more, in my opinion, than what you can do for advertisement. Everything that we've done, I've done some Google ads, I've done social media ads, and honestly, it was very few and far and in between. When it came to what we needed to do to grow, honestly, you saw the truck.
Yep.
I put the work that we provide on the truck, and that's a moving billboard.
Sweet, I like it. So really little to no paid ads, and you've been able to grow.
Correct.
All right, so another thing is, you know, employees. From where you started, it was just you.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about the pros, the cons, and all the struggles you've had leading up to where you are today?
Right, so hiring employees, obviously every industry is tough at the moment. Trying to find guys that are experienced, you want, in my opinion, less experience. So that way you can train them into the ways that you want them to succeed and grow through your company and so on. So, you know, I've been very gracious with the employees that I have, and the fact that I was friends with a few of them for several years before actually hiring them. But when it comes to hiring new blood, it's tough. You have to reach out there. You got to do, you know, your typical Indeeds. You got to put ads out, and you go through 5 or 6 before you can find one good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
How long were you able to run the business just by yourself?
So I ran the business by myself for 3.5 years.
Sweet.
Yeah. And it's doable. You don't have to necessarily go and hire. It just depends on what your overall goal is with the company.
Gotcha.
As an entrepreneur, in my opinion, the goal is to grow it, sell it.
Can you talk a little bit about any overhead costs? You know, so like, what are your overhead expenses in this company? And you know, talk about that.
Right. You're gonna have overhead no matter what, whether it comes from upfront equipment cost to product, and it's a danger zone, man.
Sorry,
come on.
Guys. No, go ahead. Overhead.
So overhead, you're gonna have it. So whether it's the product selection that you go with, the product lines that you're working with, and your consultants and product reps that you work with. Obviously, like I said, you have your equipment overhead, upfront costs. Trucks aren't cheap, so that's a big portion of overhead, just equipment alone. But as you work through, your return on that investment is pretty quick.
Okay, here's a question. What about your product? You know, how much, when you're sourcing your product, are you buying it per job, or are you just, you know, getting a gamut of products that you know you're gonna need over a few months?
So I like to program my properties out to each quarter. So you have 4 quarters, obviously. It's your growing seasons, your spring, summer, and so on. So what I'll do is I'll put all of my properties, get them into the shape that they need to be in, whether it's the upfront initial startup, just to get it back up to par. And then once that is, and it's on check with all of the other properties, I'll plan for that entire quarter, and this is all we're gonna do for this month, so on and so forth. So I'll pre-buy all of my equipment, all of my products.
For all that.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And you spoke a little bit about scheduling earlier.
Right. It's a huge part.
It's a huge part. One of the things you already mentioned was that one part to the scheduling is making sure that you're trying to do the same job on a daily basis, because you don't want to have to clean that chemical out.
Correct.
What other factors come into that?
So with the scheduling, it helps with being efficient. So if you're kind of going out there, obviously, and just kind of winging it, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, you're never gonna get ahead. You're just falling behind one step at a time. Being able to get it on a schedule and being in a routine schedule is what's gonna step further into the future to grow the company and grow yourself at that point.
What are 2 lessons you've learned in scheduling that you'd give to people?
2 lessons, you have to do it, is one.
You have to schedule.
You
Don't
have
think
to
you're just
schedule.
gonna wild west it.
No, you have to schedule, and it saves me time and money.
Yeah.
100%. You know, yeah, it's you're a one-man show for a while. It's not too difficult to schedule your day out. Once you start getting a couple employees, that your role then changes to start doing your scheduling for the week, for the month, for the quarter.
And obviously you're taking into consideration your chemicals, your locations.
Product. Different products for the time of year. You know, this time of year we do a lot of fire ant applications. We do a lot of overseeding for equestrian properties. So it's pre-ordering all of these products in time for the season to start. So if you don't have that in check, a lot of times you can't even find the product.
Yeah.
Or your price doubles. That all comes back to your scheduling. If you don't do it, you're behind the 8 ball.
All right, let's see what else we got here for you. You know, I think we talked about who's your ideal customer?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Someone who understands the value of what we're putting into the property. Not necessarily the product behind it, but the value, the intensity that you guys are putting into it.
So you're saying some of the higher end people that are really wanting their, you know, really wanting their stuff to look really good, pristine.
Right, and not necessarily higher end. It's just a customer that is understanding the concept of value.
Right.
Whether it's money value, product value, you know, so on. It's a big role because you can have a high-end property, but it can be difficult.
Yeah.
You know, just dealing with the people alone. They want it a certain way. They don't care how you do it. Just get it done. It's not always fun.
All right, and like I said, in no particular order, what services do you actually provide? When you say turf management, what do you provide?
So that's from the ground up, again, from your soil health, being able to make sure all of our microbials are healthy, they're feeding, breaking down everything that's in the soil, making it readily available for the plant. So whether it's taking care of, like I said, your soil health or your diseases that are coming in on your plants and turf, insects that come through, we're managing those, and nutrition. Outside of the turf, we do, you know, a lot of mosquito applications, fire ant applications, wide variety of pest control from indoor ants, roaches, spiders, rodent and mice. We'll do preventative measures in that case. And it really sums it up. I like the turf side of it. You see your results after what you put into it.
All right, Evan, so I know we're about to get to this field and see what you got going on here, but I just have 3 more questions for you about the business that we had. Legal side. Legally speaking, what did you have to do to legally get it started?
So legally, there's really not much. You just need to be able to get your licensing set up, which is filling out the applications for the state, pay your dues, and make sure everything comes back clean, show your records that you're moving forward and being able to do all of this for the licensing. And once they send you your license, you're good to go, ready to start.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, because you got your
it's quite
insurance.
simple.
And then you don't have to jump straight into like a sole proprietorship or an LLC until
you need to come up with your company name, whether it's S Corp or LLC, whatever you're doing, how you want to file it is up to you. But you do have to get that set up and provide all that information for the state.
Okay.
So you got to give a company name, you got to give, again, all your records.
Gotcha. And you can consult legal advice for that, but we just need to know that you do need to go through that checkpoint.
Correct. Yeah, there is a process.
Yep. I think the last question we had for you was, if there was anything, like what advice would you give to anybody trying to start up a turf management company?
Well,
at all?
Be open to change. Be open to different ideas on how to approach it. There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. It took me 3 years, honestly, to just really figure out the groove that I want to be in. And once you do, it makes life a lot easier. So just be open to it. Be open to whether your employees offer a different approach on how to take care of a problem, or just listen to what the customers are having to say and offering different techniques.
I love it, man. Well,
very good.
Evan, it was an absolute pleasure.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad we got to learn about your story and your business.
Yeah.
I think we're going to actually be with your brother on the other side of this business here in a few weeks.
Absolutely.
But, you know, this is why we're doing this, guys, because Evan Noles is a business owner in Florida, service-based business. He started it up himself. He's doing just fine, I can tell you that much. He's not really that good at golf, but he's doing just fine.
Not all of us can be.
Yeah. But, you know, he's a great partner of Everglades. This is exactly what makes our company good, is guys like this that are getting after it, grinding. So if you want to learn more, stay tuned, because we're going to be doing these types of interviews on this type of business every single week.